If you're editing in the classroom, your first hurdle will be to actually get into the classroom. So to do that, you need to come here armed with your student ID card, and also remember the last 4 digits of your Grizzly number, your G number, okay? So you take your card, you have to have it with you, you slide it through the keypad, you punch in the last 4 numbers, and then you have to hit the enter button, then the door will unlock. Don't think that you can ask somebody to prop the door open for you, because if you leave that door open for more than 30 seconds, a whole alarm goes off. You don't want that to happen. So once you're inside the room, you want to make sure you know how to open the computer so it will go to the location you need to go to for editing in this classroom. So let's take a closer look at what you need to know there. When you get to the computer, you want to make sure that you are editing in the correct place. So you first go to the Finder on the bottom. Then on the side, you would go to where it says VAR 228. And in here, you will again click on VAR 228. And then you will go to a folder that says Journ 333, our class. And inside of there, you will see a folder for each of the students. So when you get to this location where you find your last name, this is where all the activity will occur for anything that I am editing on. Once I'm in the right location, I go down to the bottom of the screen and click the PR, which is Adobe Premiere Pro. That's going to be opening up my timeline. It will open up all of the software that I need for editing. Once it's open, I go to New Project. I want to make sure that my location is going into the right place, and I can give it a name. So I will now have a file called test going into Shafran test. I say OK. And this will open up the screen that I need to do for editing. Now, for those who are going to be doing their editing on their personal computers, you want to make sure you have the right software installed. So you will be looking for Adobe Premiere. If you go to adobe.com and then you click on the menu section on the right side on the top, you'll see a function here called Creative Cloud. You click on that, and this will take you into your locations where you can choose what type of program you want to download. Most of you, I would suspect, will want to do the month free trial, so you would click on free trial. And once you're in the free trial, you would go down to Premiere Pro. If you decide that you want to just use it for the month free, then you would directly click on Download Trial. If you think there's a chance that you would like to purchase it for a year's time, you would click on Buy Now. In the Buy Now section, you would go to the tab that says Students and Teachers, and you see a plan here for $19.99 a month. I want to point out that this plan, you have to give them your credit card information. They would charge you every month, and they would continue charging you after the first year unless you cancel the policy at the end of the first year. Okay, now at this point, everybody, whether you're in the classroom or you're at home, should have Adobe Premiere up and running and ready to go. Before we enter any of the space of Adobe Premiere, the first thing that I will require all of you to do is this. Insert your memory card into your computer and download all of your files that you think you're going to want to use into your computer, not directly into Adobe Premiere, so that you have all your files loaded in your hard drive. Those in the classroom will load them into their folder. Those at home will load them into the download section, I'm assuming. Okay? The reason that I'm requiring you to save your material first into your hard drive is this. If you try to import directly from your memory card into Adobe Premiere and then you start editing it, and then you say, I'm going to pause now, I have to do something, I'll come back to it later. You walk away with your memory card from the machine, you come back, none of the elements that you spent hours editing will be there anymore. So now I have all my videos saved and I'm ready to begin the editing process. All right, now that you have all of your files saved to the hard drive of your computer or into your folder in the classroom computer, it's now time to start the editing process. To do that, first you go to File and to Import. And you want to import the files that you shot. So now I'm going to grab many of them. You hold down the Shift key and you can click multiple files to import at the same time. Then you click the import key, and the computer system will import those files for you. And you see they've landed here. Okay, so once you have your files here, you can scroll up and down and see how many that I have in here and know that that's not all I've shot, so I might want to input more a little bit later on. But let's look to see what happens after we've chosen one. Let's say we want to start with a wide shot on what we're going to edit. So first we want to look at the picture, so we double click on it and it comes up in this section here. And this is where you work on it before you take it to the timeline. If you grab onto this cursor, you'll see this takes the video back and forth like this. So if I take the cursor to the beginning and I click on play, let me tell you at this point, you can either click play or you can click the space bar on your computer. Both of those will start and stop movement in the video. So if I click play, I see the cursor moving. I see that I have a piece of video that's about 9 seconds long, but there's a little jiggle there at the end, and I think there was a little jiggle at the beginning. So what I've decided to do is let it play for about a second or two at the beginning and stop it after the jiggle. Then I go to the letter I for in. I click that, and that has set, here you see it has set my in point. And then I let it play, and I'm holding it for several seconds, but I definitely don't want that jiggle thing at the end. So I bring my cursor here, and let's say the shot is, you can see here the timing of the shot, the duration, and let's say that I want it to be, so it starts here at 59:04, and let's say I want it to be 4 seconds, so 60, 1, 2, 3. Let's say I want a 4-second shot, so I end it there. So I have my in point here that I put with an I, and I want my out point here, so I use the letter O on the keyboard, and this is chosen for me the duration of the clip that used to be 9 seconds long. I've chosen a section that's about 4 seconds long. Now I want to get this section down on the timeline, and there's two different ways I can do that. I can either take my cursor, left click, grab it, and put it down on the timeline. You see it's here now. You'll also see that it's up here in the program section. Let's say I want to undo having put that there. I do Command Z or Control Z. And another way to get it there is to hit the period, the little dot that you use as a period. You click on here, you click a period, and you see it's again brought this down here. Now you have what you worked with here is now your first element here on your timeline. And you notice when you start out a clip and you start playing it, you'll see it playing up here. And this is what we've had edited so far. Now let's say we want to edit something that starts with a wide shot and then mixes it up after there. You don't want to go from a wide to a wide or from a medium to a medium when you're editing. So you say to yourself, okay, I'm going to look either for a medium shot or a tight shot. So I think we're going to go to a medium shot here, to a tight shot. So I double click on this tight shot. I play it to see what it, I play it to see what it's looking like. There's a little bit of jiggle at the beginning. And it's a pretty steady shot. So I want to pick the 4 best seconds of it. So let's say I'll click my I for in here, and I'll let it play for 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I stop it, and then I click O for out. And now I have this 4-second clip that I want to use.
So now I can either grab it and place it next to the first clip, or if I undo that, if I bring my cursor to the end of that clip, I go back up here, click here, and hit the period button. You see it's just automatically built that for me. Now, if you look on the bottom of your timeline here, you see that you have a toggle switch that can make the line bigger or smaller, and that will help you later in the editing process. So it's something that you want to think about. So now I have these two clips that I've put down. Let's see what they look like here in the program monitor. There's your wide shot that lasts 4 seconds, and then your tight shot that lasts 4 seconds. And now, let's say I want to put a medium shot next to that. So I put my cursor at the end of where the last shot was on the timeline. I go and look for a medium shot. Here's one, I believe. It's pretty medium. I take a look at it, make sure that I click there so that my system knows I'm working on there. And in here I want to find, I can just grab that thing and move it back and forth. Seems pretty steady. So again, I look for my 4 seconds, I put I for in, I count about 4 seconds, 3 or 4 seconds is fine. I do O for out, and then I click on it and then hit the period button, and it has laid down a third shot. So now you have something that looks like this. A wide, tight, medium shot. Okay, you have now edited. You've actually edited almost 12 seconds of material. Now let's say you're down here on the timeline and you're looking at it and you say, you know, I think some of these shots were a little too long. I got a little bored watching that shot for 4 seconds. Maybe this one was too long. So there's a couple of ways I can shorten this shot while it's still on the timeline. I don't have to go back and put it in again. One way you can shorten it is, let's say we wanted to chop off this section here. I can take my timeline, my cursor to the spot where I want it to be shortened, and I click C for cut, or I go to this razor blade icon. So you see it says C. Razor tool is C. So I click here. That's the video line, and I click here. That would be the audio line. Then I go back to the V key, which makes this a cursor again. Or if I'm on the razor tool here, you see it's a razor tool, and I want to go back to the regular cursor, I can select this here. After I've made my incision, so to speak, on both of those lines, I go back to the cursor. I highlight the element that I don't want. I click delete on my keyboard. I do the same for the audio line. I click delete on my keyboard. Then if I right click, you'll see something that says ripple delete. If you click that, it will bring together all the empty spaces and bring those two pieces together. So now I have shortened this one clip by about a second. Let's undo this for a second just by clicking Control Z or Command Z. Another way that you can do the same effect is by grabbing. You go to the very end of that clip, you grab it, hold down your left key, your left side of your mouse, and just drag it to the point that you want. You have to match with the video and with the audio. Again, once you have that space you don't want, you go take your cursor to the empty space, you right click, go to ripple delete, left click, and it will line up for you exactly how you wanted it. Another thing that I want to mention that you can do, if you decide that you would prefer to have this clip at the end, and you've already put it down there, you can just grab this and move it over. Now you see that we've had to move each of these lines individually, but there's actually a different way that you can move things. So I'm going to take back that clip, move it back to where it was, and show you that right now these two audio and video lines are separated, but you can go up to this icon here, the link selection, and link them. Okay, so now when you grab either one of them, the other one will move with you. Okay, so now if I wanted to move them back, I can unlink them. So once they're unlinked, you can choose to move the video separately from the audio and even put them in two separate places if you decide to do that. Okay, so we're back again. We've put everything back to where it was, and we have these three segments, and we're starting to have some video that's telling us a story. But part of the story that we want to tell also involves having some sound with it as well. So we decide right here we're going to add a sound bite. So for the sound bite, we decide that we'll need to listen to the interview. So we listen thoroughly to the interview.
We are always looking for volunteers, especially
We see that the interview is actually 3 minutes and 35 seconds long, and sound bites, generally speaking, need to be under 15 seconds. So we want to find the best 15 seconds. So we look here, we move our cursor along.
Fully staffed.
After the
currently
question.
We are fully staffed, but we are always looking for volunteers, especially seeing how many shows we're actually able to produce. We can always need as much help as possible.
Let's say that's the portion that I like. So I go back and use my in and out key.
Currently.
So are you guys fully staffed?
I hit the I for in here. And I listen to the end of it.
We are always looking for volunteers, especially seeing how many shows we're actually able to produce. We can always need as much help as possible.
And I stop there and put the O for out. So I use the grabber. I click here. I see I've grabbed it, and I bring it here. Again, if I don't want to do it that way, I can just click on it and then hit the period, and it will put it there. So if we look at what we have all together up on the screen here, we see that we have from our wide to a tight to a medium shot.
Currently we are fully staffed, but we are always looking for volunteers, especially seeing how many shows we're actually able to produce. We can always need as much help as possible.
And let's say we wanted to add just a section to that soundbite from somewhere else. So we're looking for another 5 seconds or
We
so.
have a news channel going on right now, but we are a little bit low on anchors. So if anyone would like to come volunteer, that would be a great help.
So let's say we want to add this on.
Right now, but yeah.
And we put our I at the beginning
Of course,
of
in
it.
fact, we have a news channel.
We don't want to say, of course, because we don't know what he's responding to.
Yeah, of course.
We hit the I to start it where he says we
In
have.
fact, we have a news channel going on right now, but we are a little bit low on anchors. So if anyone would like to come volunteer, that would be a great help.
Great help. That's going to be our out. We hit O there. And then we grab that soundbite and we stick it right next to that one. So now we have.
Currently we are fully staffed, but we are always looking for volunteers, especially seeing how many shows we're actually able to produce. We can always need as much help as possible. In fact, we have a news channel going on right now, but we are a little bit low on anchors. So if anyone would like to come volunteer, that would be a great help.
Okay, so now we have a situation where we talked about where we have something called the jump cut, where we went from this part of the interview to this part of the interview, and you can just see a little jerk
In fact,
when that happens. Look at the screen when that's happening. Ready? Look up here.
help as possible. In fact,
A jump, okay? And now this is the reason that we shot our reversals that we talked about when we had our last assignment. So if I bring the reversal up on the screen, you see our reporter is listening. You do not see his lips moving. So what you want to do is bring her listening shot to cover that area down here where the jump cut was. So again, you choose a small section of it where she's listening. You choose the I for
I am
in.
currently a sophomore within the cinema studies.
and the O for out. You want, again, that just to be 2 or 3 seconds, not very long. You grab it and you bring it, now notice what I'm doing here. I'm bringing it into, the video is on line V2, so it's above line V1. So we have a second line of video going here. And we have an extra line of audio down here. Okay? Now, what it looks like right now, if you were to play what we have, so you notice we've covered where that line was.
Always need as much help as possible. In fact, we have
But
a news
the
channel.
problem is you have 2 audios going at the same time. So you want to get rid of the audio. You want to make sure these 2 are unlinked. Remember the unlinked button over here? You click on the audio and you delete the audio. And now you have
Need
this.
as much help as possible. In fact, we have a news channel going on right now, but we are a little bit low on anchors.
And it just looks like you've cut away to somebody listening. The point that I want to show you, in addition to this editing technique, is the fact that when you put a video element on a higher level, whatever will be played will be what's at the highest level. So if you put another video element above that, that's the only thing that you would see in the Ultimate Edit. However, when you add additional audio, all of the audio will be playing. Okay? So higher video will circumvent the lower one, but lower audio will always just add on. Okay? So now you've seen editing techniques for video and for soundbite. Now, in some cases, people prefer to edit video over some of their soundbite. So let's say that we want to put some video
Currently we
here,
are fully staffed, but we are always looking for volunteers.
and we want to find some video that would go over we're currently fully staffed, but not repeat any of the shots that we've already had. So we decide to go down and use this shot, let's say this one. And we don't want to take it during the zoom, so let's say we'll put our in point there and hold on to that shot for a couple of seconds, and we'll put our up point there. Then we can just grab that shot and again put it where he's talking. And if you'll notice, the video that we put is now above him, so we don't see his face here anymore. But we do hear the audio in the background, so it looks and sounds like this.
Currently we are fully staffed, but we are always looking for volunteers, especially seeing how many shows we're actually able to produce. We can always need as much help as possible. In fact, we have a news channel going on right now, but we are a little bit low on anchors.
Now, sometimes you might find that the audio in the natural sound was a little bit too loud. So what you want to do is you go to the toggle switches on the right-hand side of the timeline. You broaden it out. You see here are the levels for the interview, and here's the level for the natural sound. You just grab that level and you lower it. You grab by left-clicking on your mouse, you grab the line and you lower it. Let's say we wanted to lower his audio. You would grab his line and you would lower it or raise it. That is how you manipulate the audio in either channel of your audios. You grab the line by left clicking and you raise it or you lower it. Another important audio effect often comes into play when you want to add music to your piece. So I'm going to grab music and just stick it here in audio number 3. And if you listen to it right now and you look at the video that's going along with it, you see it looks like it could fit. But then when you get to the part where the soundbite comes,
Currently we are fully staffed, but we are always looking for volunteers.
you see that the audio is so loud from the music that it overpowers what the person is saying. You really want that music to continue on through the whole way, but you just want it to be lower from the time that the soundbite starts here to where it ends over here. So you really want to lower the music from here to here. but you want it to keep it going. So how do you do that? Well, in this case, you want to use something called the pen tool that you see over here. You could also effectuate that by hitting the letter P, as in Paul. And when you do that, you see the cursor has turned into a pen-like structure. If you click at the location where you want the music to go down, you'll see a dot has occurred. And when you want the music to go back up, you place another dot. Then you want to do a dot on the sides of each of those. And then go to your original dot, hold it down with a left click, and you can see that you are able to move just parts of that line. So here you move that part down. That's where you want the music to go down, and this is where you want it to end going down and go back up. So now if you listen to it,
Currently we are fully staffed, but we are always.
so you heard the music,
Currently we are fully staffed, but
and then
we
the
are
music
always
lowered,
looking
but music lowered so much that you don't hear it at all.
for volunteers, especially seeing how many.
So you are able to manipulate the level of the volume of the music by just raising that line up or down, however it works best for you. So let's say we want to keep it up just a little bit, and we raise it to equal levels. So it's like that, and we listen back to it.
Currently we are fully staffed, but we are always looking for volunteers, especially
And so now you can hear both him speaking and a little bit of the
seeing
music.
how many shows we're actually able to produce. We can always
And when you get to the end,
help.
I have often dreamed.
you see the music goes back up. Another point I might as well make while we're here, when you are editing audio, when you're editing music to any audio, you do not want to have vocals during the point that the person is talking. If you feel you wanted to bring the levels up and down at other points, you can just go ahead and make P, add your pinpoints anywhere along the lines, and you can bring it up and down as you see fit. Okay? And that is how you manipulate audio levels when you want them to be very seriously moving up and down. Okay, so we've talked about how to deal with audio. I'm going to go back to my V key, which will allow me to highlight this line and delete it all the time. Let's talk now about how to do some video manipulation. So we're going to talk about video transitions. You've heard about them before. They're the dissolves and the pushes and the fade to black, those type of things. For right now, what we have when we edit news in video, we tend to stick with straight cuts. And when I talk about a straight cut, I mean it's one shot to the next shot, and that shot is cut to the next shot. But there are some instances when you want an effect, when you want people to feel like you've moved from one location to another location, or there's been some time that has lapsed. So in that case, you would use your video editing techniques. To be able to utilize these video transitions in Adobe Premiere, there are a couple of different locations you can go to start this. In some versions of Adobe Premiere, you'll need to go to Window and then Effects, and then you will see the Effects panel show up on your right-hand side. In other cases, you will see Effects across the top of the left-hand side monitor, and you just click on Effects, and that will take you to this exact same options here. You want to go into Video Transitions, double-click on that, and we'll say go into a basic dissolve, double-click on that. And to add a dissolve, all you do is grab, cross dissolve is the most common. You left-click, hold it down, grab it, and take it to where you want that effect to show up. Now you see that right here, we have put this cross dissolve, and if you hit play and watch up here, you notice the dissolve. So again, we'll do it again, watching up here. And there are other types of transitions you can use. There's slides. We'll do a push slide in our next one just by grabbing it and pulling it over. So now you have push effect. There can be a wipe, a barn door wipe. Again, if you want, you can just put the new effect over the last transition and it will change it to a barn door effect. There are zooms. Here's a cross zoom. Let's see what that looks like. We'll put that in there. Okay, so these are a lot of fun to work with and they're very easy to use. You just grab them and once you have control of them, you put them over the area where you want the video transition to take effect. What I will warn you of right now is that these effects are not to be overused. In news, you typically will see just cut to cut to cut. And the only time I want to see you using a video transition like this is when you are trying to say with that transition that something has happened, that you've moved from one period of time to another, or from one scene to another. So now we've learned how to manipulate the audio. We've learned how to make transitions with the video. The next very important tool that you need to know is how to make a title. Why do we need a title? Well, we need to know who is speaking on the screen. So if we haven't introduced him with words or narration, we'll need a title here to say who he is. So thank goodness that we remembered to ask the person his name at the very beginning. So let's give a quick listen to how he describes himself.
So, what is your name?
I'm Aiden Schreiber. You spell it Aidan, Schieber, and I am a director and producer on one of the shows here at OUTV.
Okay, so we want to get his name, and we want to put it somewhere under here, or it could be off a little bit to the left. We want his first and last name in the first line, and his title on the second line. So to do that, you go to Title, you click New Title. Just go ahead and pick Default Still. Later on, we can see how you can make rolling titles or crawling titles, but for now, you just want it to be still. We often call this the lower third. We'll give it a name. You could either leave it as Title 1 or you could call it Aiden's name, however you want. I'll leave it as Title 1 for now. And now you see that I have the opportunity to start manipulating and writing in here. So let's say I want the words to start here, and I click on that, and now I'm going to put AIDIN FCHIEBER, my first line, and the second line will say he's an OUTV producer. Once I've typed this in, I can actually change the color of the fonts just by going over here on the left-hand side, clicking on color. The color will come up. Let's say I want it to be red. I click OK, and that will turn whatever I've highlighted red. If I wanted to make it a larger font, I would go over to Font Size, and then where you see it goes left to right, I can increase it by just grabbing the mouse, decrease it. So I can change colors, I can change sizes, I can change the font family by going over to Font Family and picking a different font altogether. These are the things that you can manipulate once you see where it is. So now let's say that's how you want it. You can X out of here. And then you will scroll down into your media bin and you'll see Title 1. All you need to do to get that title to show up here is grab it and put that line over where his soundbite is. And now you see what you have edited, this title, will show up where you wanted it. If you want his title somewhere else, you can just grab that. Not that you would want his title somewhere else, but you can see wherever you put it, it is superimposed over the video. Okay, so every time you write a title, you put it in there. Now let's say that, I'm going to get rid of this music in the back. Okay, so we can decide to have that title last a short period of time by just shortening it. We could decide that we want to have it later on If his face were to come back up on the screen again, we could grab that title one more time and put it here as well.
Would like to come volunteer, that would be a great help.
But the general rule of thumb is that you only need to put somebody's title up just one time. Even if you see his face more than once, you just need to put it up one time. You can make the title last longer by dragging it out. If you want the title farther, you can make it shorter by scrunching it up. Generally speaking, you want the title to last at least 3 seconds so people have a chance to read it and process who they're looking at. So this would be too short. You'd want it at least
for volunteers, especially seeing how many shows we're at.
enough for you to be able to read it. One additional tool that I want to show you before we wrap things up here is how you would do a voiceover. Now I want to stress that we will not be using this voiceover tool in the upcoming exercise, but you will be using it in future exercises. So let's say that you wanted to narrate something. You wanted a portion to be narrated. Let's say right here, you wanted to put a sentence that you were going to say underneath this video here. You would take your cursor to where you wanted to hear. Then you go to the Windows tab, you go to Audio Track Mixer, and that will bring a mixer up on the left-hand side. You want to add your audio, let's say, into audio line number 3 because there's nothing else on there at this point. So then you would pick the record, let's see, 3 little letters, M, S, and R on audio meter number 3. You want to click R for record, and then on 1 and 2, you want to mute them. So you don't want to hear any audio coming in any other tracks. Right now you just want to record what you're doing. You take your cursor to the point where you want to start the talking. You hit the record button, and when you're ready to start speaking, you click the play button. When you're ready to stop speaking, you click the play button for a second time. So now I'm going to go ahead and click record, and now theoretically my voice should be recording. Record, and now theoretically my voice should be recording. I'm going to delete what I've just recorded there, and I'm going to say something that might have something to do with the video pieces that I'm watching. So again, I have the record button there. I've hit record down here, and when I'm ready to speak, I'm going to say something like, the Video Services Department at Oakland University has many employees there working now, but officials say they are still in need of more workers. Okay. Now, if I look back at what video I have, the words that I'm saying should match up. The Video Services Department at Oakland University has many employees there working now, but officials say they are still in need of more workers. Then remember to unmute the lines that you have muted and play back the whole thing. The Video Services Department at Oakland University has many employees there working now, but officials say they are still in need of more workers.
Currently we are fully staffed, but we are always looking for volunteers, especially seeing how many shows we're actually able to produce. We always need as much help as possible. In fact, we have a news channel going on right now, but we are a little bit low on anchors, so if anyone would like to come volunteer, that would be a great help.
Okay, so now we have our piece edited with narration. Again, you will be using no narration on next week's assignment, but you will be using it in 2 weeks from now. So we have video edited, narration added to it, we have transitions between them, we have edited a reaction shot, the reversal shot in here, and we've also been able to manipulate audio. So once you're all done and you have everything looking the way you think it should be looking, you're ready to share this with other people. So to do that, you need to export. The very first thing you want to do before you export, however, is make sure that you have rendered all these effects, these video transitions or title effects or maybe some audio effects that you've done. And the way that you render is by going to Sequence, Render In and Out All. Now this will tell you how long it takes to render. In some case it could take quite a while, depending how many effects that you have in there. After you've rendered, you go ahead and you save the project. Then when you're getting ready to export, you click File, Export, Media. That will bring up this panel on the right-hand side. I would like you to export it in the format of an H.264, which is a type of MPEG-4, just a little bit better quality when you're putting it up on YouTube or something like that. Okay, so your format will be a H.264. You want to give it a name. We'll call this video test for me. You can call it whatever you want. And then you want to have it go to a location. If you're editing at home on your private computer, you could take it to your desktop or to documents. If you are editing in a classroom computer, you want to make sure that you are saving this into your own personal folder. Okay, you click Save, and once you have the name in there and the format, then go ahead and click Export down at the bottom. This will now be exporting it to wherever you have intended it for it to go. And once it is in that shape as an MP4, then you are ready to share it with whomever you want. You can send it as an email, you can post it on YouTube, or you can put it on your own personal site. So I've gone through a lot of tools and explanations here. I'm going to put a printed version of all of these tools and also some other shortcuts that you can use with function keys in a printed version on Moodle. Stick around. After you've paused this one and started the next one, you're going to learn exactly the assignment that I'm asking you to do with this new set of skills that you now have.